is under maintenance. Currently breathing, painting the sky blue, and healing will be back soon. With this positive thought, I'll start today's session. Good morning, children. Today we are moving to the next topic, heterotrophic nutrition, under which holozoic. Holozoic nutrition again derived from two Greek words, holos, which means the whole, the entire. Zoic means something related to animals. So, the entire related to animals. It means in this way of nutrition, animals take the complex food materials into the body, then get it digested and absorbed and assimilated. Whereas you have already seen in saprotrophic nutrition, the dead and decayed matter, that is the matter is already converted to simple soluble forms outside the cell and the nutrition taken place. Whereas in holozoic nutrition, the complex food materials are taken from the outside world, then get it digested inside the body. So, holozoic nutrition we are going to learn in humans. In human being, how holozoic nutrition takes place. Holozoic nutrition has different steps. The first one is known as ingestion, which means intake of food. Intake of food. As we already know, we are taking the food through the mouth. So, the ingestion or intake of the food takes place through the mouth. So, the mouth leads to a cavity. What do you call it? Oral cavity. So, the food, the complex food materials taken from the outside environment to the oral cavity. This process is known as ingestion, which is the first step of holozoic nutrition. Then, second one is digestion. Digestion starts in the mouth itself. The rest of the digestion takes place in stomach and small intestine. Digestion begins in mouth, then stomach and small intestine. So, we will go in detail afterwards. Let me tell you the steps which come under holozoic nutrition. The first one is ingestion. Don't confuse with injection. This is ingestion. ingestion. Second one is digestion. And the third one is absorption. Absorption. In absorption, the simple soluble form of the nutrients get mixed with the blood, which is happening in the small intestine. And the fourth one is assimilation. In assimilation, the nutrients are utilized by the body cells. That is, the blood carries the nutrients to various parts of the body. Each and every cell get it utilized for the growth and the developments. And the last one is the egestion. Egestion means removal of the undigested food. Egesting the undigested food, which we call the roughage. Don't get it confused with excretion. In egestion, the undigested food, that is the fecal matter, is expelled out of the body through the anus. Whereas in excretion, the removal of metabolic waste of the body, which are produced as the byproduct in the chemical reactions inside the body. Here in egestion, This is the complex food material we have taken from outside, which could not be digested by our body. So it is eliminated out as the undigested part of the food. That is the roughage. The body expels the feces, that is the undigested part of the food, the feces, in the process of defecation. Commonly we call it defecation. So in egestion, the undigested food is eliminated out of the body. Thus, Holozoic nutrition has 5 steps. First one, ingestion. Second, digestion. Third, absorption. Fourth, assimilation. And fifth, egestion. In ingestion, the food is taken into the mouth. This is ingestion. In Holozoic nutrition, the second step is digestion. Digestion begins in the mouth, that is in the oral cavity. There are 2 types of digestion in the oral cavity, that is physical digestion and chemical digestion. Physical digestion means chewing of the food with the help of teeth. The chewing of food by the teeth, otherwise called mastication. Chemical digestion also takes place in the mouth or in the oral cavity. That is done by a digestive enzyme which is present in the saliva, known as salivary amylase. Salivary amylase convert starch into sugar. Starch is a complicated food material that is converted into sugar, simple soluble form of carbohydrate. Digestion begins in the mouth. Now the food is moving towards the passage called esophagus or food pipe. The food, as it passes through the esophagus, there is a wave-like movement. In fact, this movement occurs throughout the alimentary canal or gut. Alimentary canal or gut starts with mouth, then to esophagus, then stomach, then small intestine. Small intestine will continue as large intestine, rectum and anus. So this alimentary canal or the gut starts with mouth and ends with anus. Here the food is in the food pipe now. As I said already, there is a wave-like movement which occurs throughout the alimentary canal, which pushes the food forward. This is the reason even astronauts do not have much problem in swallowing the food because of the peristaltic movement or peristalsis. So this wave-like movement which occurs, which is an involuntary movement, which is not under your control. This movement helps the passage of food through the food pipe. Through the food pipe, it reaches a bag-like structure, a muscular bag-like structure called stomach. In the stomach, the food is again undergoing digestion. Inside the stomach, the inner wall of the stomach has some digestive glands called gastric glands. Gastric glands produce 2 things. One is the digestive enzyme called pepsin and HCl, that is hydrochloric acid. So the gastric glands inside the stomach wall produces hydrochloric acid, which makes the medium acidic. Why acidic? Because the digestive enzyme pepsin needs an acidic medium for the digestion of the protein. If the medium is acidic, the inner delicate wall of the stomach can be burnt. It's not a very dilute acid. The concentrated hydrochloric acid can burn the delicate walls of the stomach. It is not happening because the inner wall of the stomach has a lining of mucus which is produced by the mucal glands. This mucus layer is protecting the delicate inner membrane of the stomach. Inside the stomach, the food remains for a longer time. Say it can be 2 to 4 hours, but it depends on the complexity of the food materials. Inside the stomach, gastric glands are present, which produces a digestive enzyme called pepsin, which digests protein. It's a protein digesting enzyme. This protein digesting enzyme works only in an acidic medium. That is why the gastric glands also produce hydrochloric acid. But the inner lining of the stomach is protected from the action of the acid by mucus, which is produced by the mucal glands, which are also present inside the stomach wall. That is the inner lining of the stomach. Now, from the stomach, the food moves to the next part of the alimentary canal, that is called small intestine. Here you have to note a point. From the food pipe, the entire food which you have swallowed is not coming all together to the stomach. There is a muscle. This exit of the food from the esophagus to the stomach, from the stomach to the small intestine, again from small intestine to large intestine. At these junctions there is a sphincter muscle. By the contraction and relaxation of the rhythmic contraction and relaxation of the sphincter muscle allows some amount, small amount of food only from one part of the alimentary canal to the other. In the small intestine, what happens to the food? In the small intestine, maximum digestion takes place because many digestive juices are mixing with food in small intestine. And this is the longest part of the alimentary canal. In herbivorous animals, the small intestine is a very long coiled structure. It can be 6.5 meters long. Whereas in carnivores, it is small. It is not that much long. The reason is herbivores eating grass need a longer small intestine to allow the cellulose to be digested. The cellulose digestion takes place in herbivorous animals by the action of some bacteria which live in their small intestine. So, got it? So, humans also got a longer small intestine, say 6 to 6.5 meters long. But not the point. We are not able to digest cellulose. That is why the cellulose only becomes the roughage for our body, which will be ingested out of our body. Then the small intestine is a site of complete digestion, we can say. But what are the ways the food is digested in small intestine? Small intestine wall also produces some digestive juices that get mixed with the food. The liver, the largest gland of the body, produces bile juice, which is released through the bile duct and reaches through an opening into the small intestine. This bile juice does not have any digestive enzyme as such. It has two functions. One is it emulsifies fat. Just like the dirt is dissolved in detergents, fat is emulsified in bile juice. Second function of bile is making the medium alkaline. What is the purpose of making small intestine medium alkaline? This is for the working of the digestive enzymes produced by pancreas. You know that pancreas has an exocrine part and an endocrine part, which we will deal in another chapter, control and coordination chapter. Here we are talking about the exocrine part of pancreas, that is the digestive enzymes produced by some portion of the pancreas, trypsin and lipase. For the working of trypsin and lipase, alkaline medium is needed. Trypsin is a protein digesting enzyme. You have already learned in stomach, pepsin was another protein digesting enzyme. Now, pancreatic juice also contains a protein digesting enzyme, trypsin. The lipase, another digestive enzyme which is present in the pancreatic juice, lipase, is a fat digesting enzyme. But this lipase can act on emulsified fat. That work is already done by the bile juice. So the digestion completes in small intestine. Maximum digestion takes place in small intestine and digestion completed in small intestine. Now the food is ready for absorption. It's very important to note the importance of small intestine. Small intestine is the part of the alimentary canal where digestion is completed. Maximum digestion takes place and absorption also takes place. You are learning about this process in very brief according to your syllabus. Now the completely digested food is absorbed by the blood vessels of small intestine. This process is known as absorption. That is the nutrients. Now the nutrients are in simple soluble form. That is the protein content of your food is now in the form of amino acids, complex carbohydrate in the form of soluble glucose, and fat into fatty acids and glycerol. In this form, the nutrients are absorbed by the blood. You know, something mixed with the blood is reaching each and every part of the body. This absorption is done by the blood capillaries surrounding the finger-like projections in the inner wall of the small intestine, which are known as villi. Now, the nutrients are dissolved in the blood plasma. The next step is assimilation. What is assimilation? Assimilation means the utilization of these nutrients by each and every living cell for the growth and development. Now, we left some undigested part of the food in the small intestine. We were following the nutrients only, the digested part. What happens to the undigested food in the small intestine? From the small intestine, the sphincter muscle will allow little by little undigested food, that is a roughage, to the next part of the alimentary canal, large intestine. Other name colon. The large intestine walls absorb the water, not the point, little bit water, stomach walls also absorb, but the entire water is absorbed by the villi which are present in the large intestine inner wall and get mixed with the blood. What is left over now in the large intestine? The semi-solid undigested food. That is the roughage. Almost in the solid form we can say. This is known as feces. That is the stool. Now this has to be digested out. That is the last step of holozoic nutrition, which is known as digestion. The unabsorbed food now from the large intestine is moving towards the last part of the large intestine called rectum. The rectum stores the undigested food. From there, through the anus, the undigested food is defecated or digested out. This is again the exit of the waste material is also regulated by the anal sphincter muscle. So these are the 5 steps of holozoic nutrition. The first one was ingestion, which is taking place through the mouth, that is the oral cavity. In the oral cavity, the next step, that is digestion, begins in the mouth, then stomach, then small intestine. After that, the nutrients are absorbed by the bloodstream, that is absorption, the third step. Then the nutrients are utilized by the living cells, that is assimilation. The last step, elimination of the undigested food, is known as digestion. That's all about holozoic nutrition. Thank you.